Hello again from Croatia and the gorgeous city of Dubrovnik. I'm here on the southern part of the Dalmatian coast in a city often referred to as the Pearl of the Adriatic and one of the most popular tourist destinations of the Mediterranean. Dubrovnik is a place of exceptional beauty along a stunning coastline, rich in history and well-preserved medieval architecture that includes the iconic city walls and, of course, the charming Old Town. In comparison to Split, a city of 330,000, you might be surprised to know that Dubrovnik's population is only about 40,000. Yet you'd never guess it, judging from the throngs of tourists who flock here. They include a good many fans of the HBO series Game of Thrones, since much of the location filming was done here. If you're a diehard fan, you probably know that. And for those who don't, there are entire websites devoted to it, as well as plenty of guided tours to show them to you. Dubrovnik may be small, but it has an outsized history that goes back to the 700 CE when it was founded by Greek refugees. Like Split and other old cities along the coastline, it's been dominated by various empires over the centuries, but with a major exception. From the year 1358 and for 450 years afterward, tiny Dubrovnik ruled itself as a free state under the banner of the Republic of Ragusa. That golden age dissolved when the city was finally conquered by Napoleon's French Empire in 1808. I'm here on Srd, or literally the wide road, which has been Dubrovnik's main pedestrian thoroughfare since the 13th century. This street splits the Old Town down the middle, stretching for about 300 meters from Ploči Gate at the east end to Pile Gate at the west. It's lined with shops, cafes, and restaurants, making it the central hub of the town and its promenade of choice for tourists. Well, as you can see, this is a very busy place, and I don't just mean this plaza. It is almost literally overrun by tour groups. This bell tower was built originally in 1444. In the early 1800s, it began to lean toward the plaza. Of course, that's indiscernible with the naked eye. It was finally rebuilt entirely in 1929 to the original design. But the bronze bell, it's the same one that's been ringing since 1506.
Next door to the clock tower is Sponza Palace, a Gothic and Renaissance-style building built in the early 1500s.
It's been a customs office, a mint, an armory, a bank, and a school, among other things. These days, it's the Dubrovnik State Archive. The atrium where I am now was at one time a trading center and a meeting place for businessmen with some quaint flourishes. One of these pillars has an inscription in Latin that says, "Our weights do not permit cheating. When I measure goods, God measures with me." A bit farther down the way is Dubrovnik's most imposing religious building. That's Assumption Cathedral, the seat of the city's Roman Catholic diocese. This is the 5th iteration of this cathedral on this spot, going back to the 7th century CE, with others being in the 10th, 11th, and 12th centuries. The 12th century version of this church is noteworthy because part of the money to build it was contributed by Richard I, King of England, also known as Richard the Lionheart. He gave it as an offering after surviving a shipwreck near Lokrum Island, which is just offshore here, in the year 1192. Of course, that church no longer exists. The one here now was built after the great earthquake of 1667. This cathedral's claim to fame is the three-panel painting of the Assumption of Mary by the great Italian Renaissance painter Titian that you see over the main altar. The painting dates from 1550, although this building wasn't completed until the early 1700s. The fact that most of the religious monuments in this historic city are Roman Catholic is no surprise, since Croatia has been overwhelmingly Catholic for centuries. During the entirety of the old Kingdom of Ragusa, Catholicism was the official state religion, and the historic Franciscan monastery that you see here was a vital part of that from the beginning. This monastery began to be built in the year 1317, although it literally took centuries to complete. In fact, parts of it have been rebuilt several times. It consists of a friary where the friars of the order live, a church, a library, and a pharmacy. Make no mistake, it's thoroughly modern, but nonetheless it has been continuously operated as a drugstore on these grounds since the year, wait for it, 1317. In fact, one of the reasons to visit this monastery if you're in Dubrovnik is to say you've been to one of the world's oldest pharmacies.
Like anyone else, I went in to have a look, but my camera wasn't welcome, as the personnel behind the counter immediately made clear.
No photo, no photo, no photo.
This monastery is very close to the so-called Pile Gate, where the overwhelming majority of visitors to Old Dubrovnik enter the fortified city. Tons of people file through here, although a good many turn away when they find out that the monastery wants to charge them nearly $10 US just to view the grounds, which is linked arbitrarily to a museum ticket. Dubrovnik is a gorgeous place, and like the entire Dalmatian coast of Croatia, it's part of a scenic ecosystem that's undeniably among the most beautiful in the world. But it's also one of the most over-touristed places on Earth. In fact, it's choking on its own success. Whether that collectively represents much of a concern here is hard to tell. Despite being enormously overpriced, from restaurants, accommodations, tickets for attractions, even the city buses can cost nearly $3 US for a short ride if you buy a ticket from the driver. It hasn't slowed the thundering herds of tourists who descend upon this place. Those giant cruise ships put ashore here, which is to say daily during the long tourist season. There are times when the main entrance to the old town, that Pile Gate that I showed you, turns into a mosh pit. When does a really great place begin to destroy itself? I don't know exactly, but Dubrovnik may be on the verge of finding out.
My small but comfortable accommodation with a microwave and refrigerator is a pleasant place to stay. A short walk from cafes and a great breakfast bakery. Just meters away, there's a bus stop from where the ride to the old quarter takes about 10 minutes. If you want an elevated view of the city, a funicular will take you up Mount Srd for about $30 US, or you can get up the mountain on your own.
The best way for those not up for the hike is to take the number 17 bus from the Pile Gate, which is what I'm about to do. Well, I'm off the bus as far up the mountain as the bus goes, which is at the tiny village of Bosanka, home to about 200 people. You can hike further up and go wherever you want, but you don't have to go far to get what you've come for, a spectacular view of Dubrovnik. This mountain and all the mountains you see along the Dalmatian coast is part of the Adriatic Alps, a range that separates the Balkan Peninsula from the Adriatic Sea.
Mount Srd used to be covered with oak trees that the locals call Dubrava, the word that gives Dubrovnik its name.
The mountain isn't covered with oaks anymore. From the middle of the 20th century, this mountain has been gutted by fires, and especially during Croatia's War of Independence after the breakup of the former Yugoslavia in 1991. In fact, this hilltop was the scene of some of the fiercest fighting of the war. During the siege of Dubrovnik, the former Yugoslav Air Force took down the TV tower that was up here and destroyed the cable car, which has since been rebuilt for tourists. Up at the very top, which you can barely see from here, there's the remains of an old fort, Fort Imperial, built by the French in 1810 after Napoleon conquered Dubrovnik and its kingdom of Ragusa. There's no one around, and I would say there's only the sound of nature, except that you can hear some traffic down below on the highway, ricocheting off the rocks of these hills. I'm getting down near the bottom of the trail, and I'm seeing my first people.
If you go up the stairs, here is one small area for Sanka.
From up above, there is somewhat of an optical illusion that the highway is the bottom of the hill. There's an underpass at the bottom of the hill where you walk under the highway, leading to a further lengthy descent, which is fine by me. As I get closer to the city, the views just get better.
There's a lot about this former medieval city-state to inspire the imagination, despite overcrowding and inflated prices. Many travelers will want to visit at least once, or if they can manage it, come in spring or late fall. Some places are worth the aggravation.